Hello, everyone. Welcome to WriteReader onboarding webinar. My name is Babar Beg. I'm one of the founders of WriteReader. And in today's short onboarding webinar session, we will go through how to get started with WriteReader, how you can use Google Classroom if you're using that, how to set up your class and students. We'll be talking about how to create, how to use the basic book creation features, and then also how you can provide feedback to your students, which is very relevant during these times. And then at the end, we will also provide you with some remote learning inspiration. So let's get started. First of all, just wanted to say that WriteReader is an open-ended tool which works on all devices through all the four major browsers. So you can use WriteReader with Safari browser, you can use it with Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, or Microsoft Edge. And it's optimized for tablet and smartphone use as well. We know, especially during these times, that not all students have access to a digital device. But since WriteReader is also working on smartphones, there might be that they can use the parent smartphones in order to access and create books as well. So and our goal of when we created WriteReader was basically to enable kids to be inspired and get motivated for literacy. Um, so our goal is really to we've kind of stripped down into basic functionalities because we don't want to have too many functionalities, because we believe that the focus should be on creating and the output of writing should be priority one, instead of having students to use 100 types of different fonts or whatever. That instead of that, we would like to have the output where the focus is on creating. So what I will do now, I will share my screen and jump into how to create an account. So here we go. First of all, when you get started, you will need one URL, which is app.writereader.com. So this is the URL which you as an educator and your students will be using all the time. So you can either bookmark this URL or save it somewhere so you have easy access to it. Educators can sign up in two different ways. So basically, WriteReader can be used in two different ways, and you need to decide what way you want to use WriteReader from the start. So we have either you can use it by signing up with your email and a password, or you can use it with Google Classroom. So please note that these are two different accounts. So we would advise that if you are already familiar with Google Classroom and your students are using it, you're using it, then we would advise that you only use the Google Classroom option. And the way we have integrated with Google Classroom is that you as an educator will simply click on the Google Classroom button here. And then what we have done is that we will import all your active classes and students into WriteReader. So you don't need to set up your students. You don't need to provide them with a code. It's one-click onboarding for you, and it's one-click onboarding for your students. So once you click on Google Classroom, I'll just try to do that here. Um, Now you can see that it will prompt me for which account I want to use. I'll pick my account, and here you will need to provide access. And now what we do is that we pull in all your active classes, and this is the first screen you will be seeing right here. So all your classes are automatically imported into WriteReader. So your class management and your student management will happen in Google Classroom, will not happen in WriteReader. We will just reflect the changes which you do in Google Classroom, and that you will be able to see this in WriteReader. You're able to open the classes and then get an overview of the kids' books. So I'll just log out here, and your students will be using the Students tab, and then they will be using the Google Classroom option right down here. And once they use that, we will pull in their data where they are students. So if a student are part of two classes, the students will see two classes. And then the students can choose which class they want to use, and then they can start creating books. So plain and simple, it's one-click onboarding both for you and for students. And if you are familiar with Google Classroom, we recommend that you use that option. However, we know that many districts and schools are not using Google Classroom. For those, we have built our own system. And this is where you as an educator can come in. You can create you put in your email, password, and then you sign up, and then you are logged in and will see your first class. We also have a Google single sign-on option. So for instance, you can also use that, and I'll just show you how that works. So you click on Google single sign-on, you choose your account, and this is how you actually sign into WriteReader and sign up your account. And next time when you come, you will use the same option. Here you can see that I will have now an overview of all my classes, and I'm logged in with email and password. So the change here is that if you use email and password, then you need to set up your students manually. I'll just try to create a new class, and how to create a new class is to use the plus sign down here. Click on this and you say, name the class this, you create it, and now the class has been created, and you are now able to see the class right here, which I created, my remote learning class. You open the classroom, and this is the view which you will see when you log in first time. Here we have pre-installed 2 books for you, so you can get inspired and read how WriteReader works. And then the way you add students to your classroom will be you click on users. So when you click on users, you will have 2 options. Either you can add co-teachers or you can add students to your classroom. As you can see here, we have auto-generated a 4-digit code for you. This means that the students will be needing this code and the username which you will create. So now let me just show you how to add students into your classroom. Simply click on the plus sign here, and here you can then write a username, let's say Barbara. We advise that you create the usernames a bit unique so that students, they're not able to guess each other's usernames. It's optional to write the first name and the last name. And now you can add a student. You can now see that the student has been added to this class and with the username Barber231. Now, once you have added all the students, you can communicate the usernames and the class code, HJFG, to your students, and they will use the class code and the username to become a part of your classroom. So when you go back to my classes, we'll just open the class which I've just created, which is here. You can now see that there is 1 student in this classroom. You can then open the classroom again, and here you have some options which I will go through. But before that, I'll just show you how it will look like from a student perspective. So let's just go back to users. We created a username called Barber231 and with a class code this. So I will now log out. Now, as a student, I will use my username. In this case, it was Barber231 and the class code like this. You log in, and now you are logged in as a student. So this is the view the student will see first time the students log in, whether they're using Google Classroom or class code login. Students can then see the class books, and they can shift over to my books, and this will be the students bookshelf. So the way the students will get started, they will simply click on the plus sign, and then they can start creating their books. Let me just show you some key features on how to create a book and how students can choose different options of images. So here students can write a title. They can color the book through the paint bucket. They can choose a color. Let's say in this case, I'll choose green. They can audio record. So in one sentence, what this is multi-modal book creation. Students and teachers can use voice, they can use text, and they can use images in order to create their books. Here you can click on the audio recording. You can audio record up to 40 seconds of each page. When we choose the images, we have 4 different options of importing images. First of all, we have created our own image bank categories. So you can basically click on any image you want. So for instance, in this case, I'll just use this one. I can crop the images in order to make the image fit, and I can kind of put it in this, center it. I can save it, and now it will be imported in my book. Now, the way a student can add new pages is by clicking on the plus sign. And here the student will have 3 options on which page type to choose. The first page type is more meant for kindergarten, elementary students. And this is here where teachers and parents can provide feedback. So we'll just choose this page type and see how this looks like. So here in this page type, the students can again add an image. And this time we'll try to search an image. We have integrated with the safe search of Pixabay, where we have access to 1.6 million images. So Pixabay is much child-friendly and safer than Google's image search. You can also take your own image. So kids, if they have the device, they can take an image through the device, or they can upload their own image from the computer. So in this case, let's say that I'm outside, I'm documenting my learning, what I'm doing outside my home, and I can go and take a picture of an animal or whatever I want, and then I can take a picture by taking a photo like this. Well, not the best photo of me, but it will try to use it. Use the image, crop the image, and then I am now in here. The students also have the possibility of adding speech bubbles, and we've done this in order to train direct speak as well. So I can click on the image. Yeah, students can also do like this, and then they can write it here, and you can save it. And now I have placed it here. So you have different options. So basically, kids can also use this to create their own comic books if they like. The students will do their writing here based on whatever level they're on. So if they're early emergent writers, or if they have developed writers and much more fluent writers, they can just write. So for instance, I like this, and then teachers, parents can enable the educator text, and this is basically for where you can mirror or you can write the conventional way of writing, and then students can compare their writing. So it's basically the same way we teach our kids how to talk. The child makes an attempt and the parents say it out loud. Here, like this, and the students have an option to hear it out loud as well. We have integrated with Amazon Polly. Click on this icon.
I like my mom.
And the students will hear it out loud as well. Other page types is that for more advanced writers, they can use a page type where they can just insert an image and write longer text. And we also have a page type where the students can only write texts. So these are some of the basic book creation features we went through. I will just go back and log in as a teacher in order to show you what controls you have. So as an educator, you log in again like this. And now when we open our classroom, we will be able to see the book. Here you can see there's one book created. Let's see which student has created this book. So my student's book, in this case, Babar, he created a book and it's now available on my bookshelf. So I can read and comment Babar's books. So once your students start creating books, you will have a full overview in your digital bookshelf here. You can also filter the students by the drop-down menu. You can click on students and you will be able to see only select students' books on your bookshelf. When you go to settings, here you have an option of disabling the functionality where students can read and see each other's books. If you are let's say that this is a setting for choosing what kind of page types you want to be available for your students. If you want all the three which we went through, then you just keep it like this. But if you say, okay, I'm teaching kindergarten and my student does not need the two more advanced page types, so I will just disable those, and now your students in your classroom will only have one specific page type available when they create new pages. So this is something which you can control from under the settings. So when you go back to users, again adding here, and you can then go back to your class overview. So we'll just open the classroom again, and now I'll just show you how you can create books, which you can share with your students, like templates. So the first thing is that, for instance, this book by Babar, you can open this book and you want to share this with Babar's parents or with anyone else, you can just simply click on the link sharing, click on book link, and now it will create a URL which you can paste into any program and send it onwards. Now let's go back and see how to create a page, a book template. So again, you click on the plus sign as a teacher. You will have the same controls which your students also have. So let's say you're in a remote setting right now and you want to communicate something with your students, you want to provide them with a task. So let's say the student needs to create a book about what they have done in their weekend. So they need to kind of document their activities. So you as a teacher, say, okay, this is my book. This. I can record a message for my students and say, hey students, hope you're doing fine at home. This week's task is for you to create a book about your weekend activities. I'm looking forward to seeing all your books. Thank you, bye. A message you can record for the students, whatever you want. It could be in this book. What you can do with
Hey students, hope you're doing fine at home.
With these template books is that you can also help you scaffold children's writing. So for instance, I'll give you an option. You click on the, so for instance, you're creating pages and you say writing questions, which they can ask. You can write writing prompts for them. You can write sentence starters. Like this, and you can just keep on adding pages. Say, how did your day end? And you can write a question on each page. And once your book is done, once you have created a book which you want to share with your students, simply go back to bookshelves and you will see your book here. You click on the book, and what you do is that you simply swipe the templates button to the right. And now this book has been shared with all the students in your classroom. So your students have now access to this book, and they will be able to choose this book when they click on the plus sign. They will have an option either to create a new book, or they will see the front cover of your book, of this template book. They can click on that, and then a copy of the book will be saved on their library as well, and you will be able to follow them in your library as well. So this is how you can create tasks and templates. One last thing I want to cover is when you are reading a book, you can also provide comments to the students. So let's say Barbara created this book. I want to provide Barbara a comment. I say edit book, and here I will click on the comment option. Now, please note that the comment option is a personal comment. This is a way for you to provide personal comments to your students. So other students won't be able to see the comments which you're writing if you're using this functionality. So you click on this and you can write a comment here and say, hey Barbara, great work, keep it up, or whatever you want to write. You save the comment, and now the students will get a notification when the students go back to the bookshelf. The students will see the same red icon on his or her book. They can open the book, and then they will be able to read your comment, but not only read your comment, they can also hear the comment which you have written. So for instance, it will look like this. They will see a red icon with a one, if there's one comment on your in their book. All right. So hopefully this was helpful. This is just a general short introduction about some of the key features, how you can start using it, how your students can start using it. We have provided some remote learning inspiration, a book which you can read through with some writing prompts, with some ideas which you can convey to your students on how they can engage themselves in digital book writing while learning to read and write. So for any questions, feel free to reach out, and I'm looking forward to getting your feedback on how it goes. Thank you very much. Bye.